have certain pamphlets. It has a list of service providers, a list of 60 of them.
So what you're looking for is, this is a branch that we stripped the bark off the tree, and these are the little galleries that you cannot tell or see in a normal tree. This branch was perfectly fine and alive. So this is what we call lightly infested. This is still treatable. You can still inject your tree and keep the tree. We're kind of going by the trails that are hit first harvest. So down, say by town. That's one of our areas here. So this branch here was still alive, but this was heavily infested. This branch has been infested for several years, and this is not treatable. This is what we call a tree that's going to have to be cut down.
This is a model of an insect called the emerald ash borer, Gryllus plenipennis, also known as EAV. EAV is an invasive species that is relatively new to North America. It was introduced approximately 2002, and it's one of only 2 insects in North America that have the designation by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency as a primary tree killer. That means that this insect can wipe out and kill perfectly healthy, otherwise perfectly healthy ash trees through the destructive process that it involves in a tree. Fortunately, this is out of scale and is an oversize. This is actually the real-life size of the adult Gryllus plenipennis in this vial here, this bottle green insect. This is what the adult looks like in the summer when it's flying from tree to tree. This time of year, which is March, in the winter, the insect's life cycle has it in this stage, which is the larvae. It almost looks like a legless white grub. Ironically, though, this seemingly harmless looking stage is the most destructive. And this is the stage where it's doing all its damage. How? It's getting inside underneath the bark, and it's literally mining or tunneling all around just under the bark, and literally doing the equivalent in humans to severing the veins and arteries just underneath our skin. And while that is fatal in humans because for loss of blood, it's equally fatal in trees for loss of the conductive ability for the tree to bring up water and nutrients from the roots to the crown. So EAV, guaranteed, will kill your ash tree. The only solution that's currently available is to treat the tree. That gets into the whole management. Oakville has taken the position of active management because ash makes up about 10% of our urban forest. There's about 180,000 ash trees on private and public property throughout the town. And 10% can have a huge impact on the town's canopy, particularly in some neighborhoods where ash is the predominant species. So you can imagine what your street might look like if you have ash. This insect has the potential to clear-cut your street. Yeah, if you have a lot of ash in your neighborhood, either on the road allowance or in your backyard, and you lose that to emerald ash borer, that's going to have a negative effect on your property values. It also has a negative effect potentially on your health because trees absorb criteria pollutants, the particulate matter and other pollutants such as nitrogen oxides and sulfur oxides, and without that foliage and that canopy there's going to be higher levels of pollution and ozone in the area. So the consequences of EAV are very severe. Time magazine has put it on its top 10 list of nasty, threatening invasives, and it threatens in the U.S. to cause upwards of $20 billion worth of economic problems over the next decade. So Oakville has taken this problem very seriously, and Council last year approved a strategy to treat and protect about 75% of our municipal treatable canopy. So about 6,000 ash trees on the road allowance and in parks are on a treatment program to protect them. On the other side of the coin, for those trees that are not in the treatment program, they're essentially dead tree standing, and residents need to be aware in this workshop today that they have a choice. They either need to treat their tree or they need to remove and replace their tree, but they need to take action because otherwise the insect will force their hand. So if I was a ash tree owner in Oakville, I would undertake the following action this year. One, I would find out confirmation that I do have an ash tree. The town took the initiative last year. We've mapped the private ash trees in Oakville. You can come to our website, www.oakville.ca, to our Emerald Ash Borer site, and there's a map of generally map of the area where ash is located in Oakville. Then I would, if I did have an ash tree, I would retain a service provider, and we have a link to the service providers locally that you can choose from. Get him or her to assess your ash tree, whether it's a candidate for treatment or a candidate for removal and replacement. Really, that's really the only two choices, treatment or remove and replace. If it is a candidate for treatment, get 2 to 3 written quotes about the cost for this undertaking. Treatments are going to need to be done every 2 years, and this is expected to last for about a decade, so that could be upwards of 5 treatments. Conversely, if the tree is not a candidate for treatment, then it's a dead tree standing. And sooner rather than later, before it starts breaking up in a windstorm, residents are encouraged to get a couple of written quotations to get it removed safely and get it replaced, because Oakville's canopy would benefit from the lost foliage being replanted. So that's basically the steps. Confirm that you have an ash tree, then confirm that it's a candidate for one of the 2 management options, and step 3 is to take that action. Don't wait for the insect to force your hand. In 2011, the town put out a tender for about 2,200 ash, street, and park trees, and the $5.48 per centimeter cost translates to, for a tree about this size in diameter, in the area of about $200 to treat. For a tree of this diameter to remove and stump, we were probably looking at, in our case, of upwards of $1,000 or plus. Well, any trees that are disposed have to be disposed in accordance with the regulations from the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, which are outlined on their website, the CFIA. It's pretty laborious. The tree has to be double chipped. In other words, the branches and the trunk has to go through a chipper twice, so that no one chip is any more than about an inch in diameter in cross-section, and the combination of the small chip size and the vibration from the shaking motion in the drum will kill the larvae and help prevent it from getting out and escaping.